Hello, I'm should be back. This is Dr. Andrew Jones. Hello, this is Dr. back again. I'm just seeing we don't seem to have any course owners here. What? Where is everybody? So just keep going then, or? I guess for now. Goodbye. Hi, sorry about that. There's some technical issue with the computer not letting us, or the software not letting you guys see it. Last section, I just wanted to get you how you can get the most from natural animal care. That's just a picture of me running a few years ago, and that's my son Liam, and have a look at me, looking at me while I'm running by. First, I want you to go through the entire course. Once a week is ideal, and take notes. You want to do much more than just go through it really quickly or just refer back to it in need. Go through entire course once a week. Once a week is ideal, and take notes. You really want to take that all in. Take the time to take it all in. Practice to get the necessary confidence and skills. You need to be able to perform a proper physical exam, and you should be doing this a minimum of once a week with your pets. And of all the different things and skills I think you can acquire, if you can actually learn how to properly examine your dog or cat at home, I mean, that's huge. Much more than 99% of the pet parents out there. And if you can learn to do that, you can get so much out of that. And I can't overemphasize the importance of that enough. So just start out with module 1. Refer back to the basic physical exam, how to examine your dog or cat at home, and just start doing that. Like, you need, regardless of whatever skill you're trying to learn. So if, for instance, you're trying to learn home veterinary care, you need to be able to be doing that regularly to get skilled at it. And as I said, the foundation of that is being able to do a proper physical exam. So you got to be doing it. So once a week, I want you to be examining your dog, your cats weekly. And as you do that weekly, you're going to get so much more confident in terms of being able to then recognize if something is abnormal. Obviously, there's big, obvious things. Your dog shaking his head. Is it an ear infection? Likely it is. But maybe there's actually something else in their ear. And the way you're going to know that is you're going to take your dog, to an area where it's well lit, and you're going to actually shine a bright light into that ear, have a better look at that ear canal, and be able to potentially see that while you're cleaning the ear. Because one, you've taken the time to learn how to examine your dog or cat properly, and not just the first obvious clinical sign, meaning it is just another ear infection, that you're being more thorough in terms of your exam. In veterinary school, one of the most important principles and diagnoses is relating the clinical signs, physical exam findings, to what is the most likely disease. So I take this back to some of my veterinary school professors, where they're very clear in terms of, we would be seeing, for instance, a sick cow, where you don't have the luxury of doing a whole variety of diagnostic tests. You've got to listen to, here's the history of this cow. It has not been eating for a few days, been kicking at his belly. You do a physical exam. You find that he's uncomfortable, perhaps in his one side of his abdominal wall. You look at the clinical signs where he's kicking that area of his belly, and then you come up with the most likely disease. And in doing that, remembering the big of all sort of sayings and different things to remember is that common things occur commonly. No question. For instance, there's a number of more common veterinary diseases that happen. And that's what I've highlighted within the course itself. And, that's just a general principle period amongst life, that common things occur commonly. So don't start going looking for these strange zebras. An example I give is where I was a new graduate and a new veterinarian in practice. I had this dog had come in limping on one leg, and while I'm examining him, so he had these enlarged lymph nodes, and his temperature was slightly up, and I make this wonderful diagnosis, wondering if he's got immune-mediated polyarthritis, which just means an immune-type disease, which has attacked his joints, causing them to swell, and secondary lymph nodes have gotten enlarged. Sounds pretty exotic, and I go, I've learned that in veterinary school. To have the who's had years of experience, which I have now, to examine the dog and say, yeah, his lymph nodes are a bit big because he's got a skin infection, as you see, an untreated skin disorder. Hence, his lymph nodes were slightly enlarged. And he's limping because he strained his cruciate ligament. Sure enough, his knee, and it's thick in the middle, and common thing. It's common to have an enlarged lymph node, enlarged back leg lymph nodes, popliteal lymph nodes when you had a skin infection. It's common to be limping when you've torn or strained your cruciate ligament. So keeping all these common principles in mind, you need to be aware of the most common dog and cat diseases, hence my suggestion you go through the entire course. And part of that course is my book, Veterinary Secrets, where if you're not able to go through the whole course at once, at the very least, you have that entire book to reference, looking through the table of contents and going through that as well too, where all those same diseases are listed in detail. So I want you to have a real good understanding. Here are the more common dog and cat diseases. I'm describing what they're like. Preferably you're getting those from the course. I'm giving you more detail in the course itself, and you're better able to see it as you go through the course. And I think if you can read it and take it in, it's multimodal. So you can read it, you take that in, you watch the course visually, you see it, and then you hear me speak. And with all those different ways, it gives you such a better way to learn and internalize that. The 5 basic healing modalities are key. These are the ones that I use most often in veterinary practice. For example, as an example, I used acupressure on a paralyzed dog whose owners were unable to afford surgery. And the next day that dog walked. And this was later in veterinary practice, where I was just getting more comfortable with alternative veterinary medicine. But as an example, many people would be quick to point out that at the acupressure, it's not going to work. How effective can you be putting your finger on some little point in a dog? What's that going to do? Would that dog potentially walk the next day? Perhaps. But he'd been in the clinic for 5 days and he wasn't walking. He was a paralyzed little Dachshund who had blown a disc, and he's got this entire rear limb paresis. He's dragging his rear legs. We're holding him up, expressing his bladder. His prognosis was pretty poor, especially after a 5-day period of time for him to ever walk again. So I thought, what do I have to lose? Let's try some acupressure on him. Literally that next morning, that dog is up walking. He's using that leg. Is he back completely normal? No, but he was able to use those legs. So that made me a convert for sure. And I think the point of my story here is to reinforce one to you, the importance of not overlooking these modalities, and to really internalizing them and learning them. If you has any serious signs of disease, there's an emergency situation, then obviously see your veterinarian. But be open to home care, you waiting for your pet, you suggesting alternative treatments, and you questioning diagnostic tests. I'm saying here that I want you to obviously use some good common sense. If your dog or cat has a whole variety, but any serious signs of disease, there has any sudden emergent situation, you've got a dog that's bloating, you've got a cat that's straining to urinate, he's not passing in urine. Clearly that's an emergent or urgent situation, and you need to be seeing your veterinarian. And throughout the course, I give you specific examples of when you should see your veterinarian, when it's okay to treat your dog or cat at home. I'm just saying, use some good common sense. And as you spend more time with your dog or cat, you get better educated in terms of the different diseases. You're going to become much more confident in terms of how to use these, what to use, when to see your veterinarian, when to treat your dog or cat at home. And lastly, what I'm saying here with this big point is that you're just being a big advocate all the time. You're if you are seeing your dog, if your dog or cat is seeing a veterinarian, I mean, you're a strong advocate for your dog or cat. A couple other points. One, veterinary school is 4 years long. Then most graduates intern. They work for a period of time to gain the necessary skills to be full practicing veterinarians. My point being, it takes a long time to become skilled in examining, diagnosing, and treating. It's not something that just happens within a week course. But there is a huge void in alternative care, with most veterinarians receiving little to no instruction, and you as a pet parent can often provide better care at home. An example of that is a dog or a cat that is ill for whatever reason. Maybe they've had pneumonia, or they've had a fever perhaps from a dog or a cat fight wound, and they've had a secondary infection. They've been septic. They're on antibiotics. Maybe they're even on IV fluids because they've gotten themselves dehydrated. But leaving them in the clinic where they get little to no supervision makes no sense. It makes far more sense to me that dog or the cat goes home with you and you monitor your dog or cat at home. Fine if they're on IV fluids. You can set your dog or cat up just the same way they're in a veterinary clinic. In my opinion, you can even offer to take home if they're on an IV fluid pump. You can take that thing home, and as you should and as you can, because you're there to monitor your dog or cat. In some areas, some of these cities, you're looking at these 24-hour emergency clinics. Great if you're able to afford that, and that is an option. But for a majority of people, that isn't an option. So I really want you to think about this as far as really, if your dog or cat is seriously ill, but can they come home and you monitor them at home? And I think majority of cases they can. I'm sharing information in the course that took me years to learn, condensing it down, teaching what is most relevant and applicable for you as a pet owner. If you go through the course, practice, use just some of the remedies. Maybe it's only 20 you need to get confident in the physical exam. In my opinion, you can offer far better alternative care to your pets than most veterinarians. And that's the key. There's a number of big points there. One, it took me a long time to get this and develop this course, write my book. Secondly, too, but if you're going to go through it, and I really want to stress the importance of you practicing, using these remedies, getting confident in the physical exam, and then you're able to offer far better alternative care to your pets. And then thanks once again for getting my course. My consultation email address is Dr. Andrew at Dr. Jones's naturalanimalcare.com. And just use this email. Please only use this email for quick diseases or remedy questions. If you have a question around the course itself, in terms of how do I approach this next, what do you suggest, feel free to send me an email. I encourage you to do so. So thanks once again. And I'm just going to open it up to chat now, but it appears that if there's any of you out there, feel free to post something in the chat itself. I want to leave a bit of time here so you can get on here and chat. But thanks, 100% thanks for getting the course. I'm covering a whole lot of information. It really is a lot to learn. I mean, we could break it up to be just a course on homeopathy, one on acupressure, one on massage. So feel free if you have any questions. If you don't have any questions, that's okay. The next big thing, if you're unable to access the chat box that's on now, then just go ahead and send me a direct question at Dr. Andrew at Dr. Jones's naturalanimalcare.com. I'd love to hear your feedback. What we are going to do, because this was a bit chopped up, is I'm going to re-record it tomorrow, and we'll send this all out to you being course owners. And I think I'll also include this email on here too. So any of you are course owners, you have any questions, then you're able to directly contact me and I can converse back with you. The one thing I do want to do, the fact is actually help you better use the course itself. I mean, I get much better feedback by seeing pet owners using the course, how they're using it or not using it, and any suggestions you might have to improve upon it to actually make it better too. But thanks again. It's Dr. Jones.